Shabbat Shalom. This is a day that the Most High has made. Truly we rejoice and we are glad in it that He has made it. I am the preacher, and going back into our series, the End Time Apocalypses. This is part 3, something I believe is very relevant for the time that we're living in, things that we're dealing with and what we're facing. We are truly in apocalyptic times and tribulatory times. We are in a time of Jacob's trouble, which is going to intensify, and saints being attacked, truth being attacked, the word being attacked, and people just totally against what we're trying to stand for. And it is my prayer that you will endure until the end. This day right here, you keeping this is powerful because it's a sign between us and the Most High that we are His people. So we do this with no regrets, doubts, hesitation. It's with joy and great pride that we push everything to the side that seeks our own pleasure in this world and shut it all down to spend time with the Most High. As you know, it's really important to use this day to edify and exhort one another after we go through so many things through the week, because we're in spiritual warfare, even more so now, because everybody feels this is Satan's time and his demons. People are glorifying evil. Evil's being called good, and good's being called evil. And I can imagine the things that you go through all week, things that I go through, the things that we go through, because he doesn't want to see anyone make it. And he knows that his time is short. So we should use days like the Shabbat to encourage, exhort, build each other up, edify one another. It's a shame to have two grown men that call themselves men of Yah using separate platforms to curse each other out and to call for a fight that could lead to violence. In a time like this, that's non-focus to me. And we have to be very cognizant of the pride that we carry that causes us to become passionate to the point of pursuing things that are not the kingdom, are edifying to the kingdom, but more so protecting what we esteem highly, which is ourselves sometimes in our pride. And I don't have to talk about who these people are, what they're calling. It's just indicative of the times that we're living in. Hey, listen, don't think you're above deception. There was a guy who was in a garden who was pretty good at talking chatter and was able to deceive the whole world. Christ was asked in Matthew 24, what will be the signs of the end? One of the main things he said was make sure that no man deceives you. I got a great article I'm going to read at the end of this program because it's very telling of the state of mind that people are in right now. So it should be a very interesting article. And also, furthermore, I want to invoke a prayer that invokes Yah's mercy. And then I'm going to do some reading from the Apocalypse of BARuch. I'll start from chapter 2 and probably try and go into chapter 5. And just a real quick summation of the Apocalypse of BARuch. When I go into it, it's because I want you to realize something. Satan is going to try to block out the prophecies and confuse the world on the prophecies by mimicking the Most High's prophecies and his natural disasters. Everything that's happening is not of Yah. He may have allowed it, but man has technology and devices to try and mimic and copy everything that Yah does and can do and will do, said he's going to do, to throw you off and make you think this is Bible prophecy. I'll give you a perfect example. When Moses threw down his rod, Pharaoh's warlocks threw down their rod and were able to mimic a snake. In the last days, and we may read that if we get to it today, the Antichrist is going to be duplicating miracles to the point of deception. The only thing the Antichrist can't do and Satan can't do is produce life. They try and produce clones, copies, but they cannot produce life. They cannot raise people from the dead. That's what Satan can't do, the Antichrist can't do, and that's how he's going to be called out in the last days. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be deception with weather warfare and with their heart machines and everything they're utilizing to try and throw you off in the last days. So we have to be prepared. Shema Yasharah, the Most High, our Adonai is Akkad. Psalms 85. Yahuwah, thou hast been favorable unto thy land. Thou hast brought back the captivity of Jacob. Thou hast forgiven the iniquity of thy people. Thou hast covered all their sin. Selah. Thou hast taken away all thy wrath. Thou hast turned thyself from the fierceness of thine anger. Turn us, O Yah, of our salvation, and cause thine anger toward us to cease. Wilt thou be angry with us forever? Wilt thou draw out thine anger to all generations? Wilt thou not receive us again, that thy people may rejoice in thee? Show us thy mercy, O Yah, and grant us thy salvation. Hallelujah. All right, let's get into this lesson with some commentary, reading from the Apocalypse of BARuch. I'm going to have to, the spelling is actually inaccurate. It's BARuch, the Apocalypse of BARuch. And you can find that, the Apocalypse of BARuch, on the internet if you want to follow along. I'm going to start the second chapter. End time apocalypses, an insight into prophecy for this remote generation. Furthermore, concerning the kings of Assyria and the dissolution of the heaven and the earth and the things beneath the earth. Now, therefore, those who are mine will not be overcome, says Yahuwah. I paused there intentionally so that we can dispel all fear of the remnant of Yah, who are worried about trying to endure until the end. Those who belong to him, you're not going to be overcome by the geoengineering, the weather, the famine, the pestilence, the shutdowns, the radiation, the 5G towers, nor will they fear in the battle. When they see who rises in the north, the king of injustice, he will increase his battles and his disturbances against Egypt, Babylon. The land will groan together because your children will be seized. Many will desire death in those days, but death will flee from them. And a king who will be called the King of Peace will rise up in the west. Let me pause right here. Children will be seized for the purpose that they feel like it's too late to reach you, Generation X, you baby boomers. They want to create a cyborg, transhuman, alternative way of thinking with our children, the ones that they don't sacrifice, drink their blood and sacrifice to Satan. Some of us, our minds are too antiquated, too old school the way we think, especially as baby boomers, which is why they've tried to turn the children against us and tell the children that through global warming, your parents messed up with the way they treated the earth and the atmosphere. They are the cause of us being in this trouble. They destroyed all the natural resources. And this is the way children think about the older generation, which is why they can care less if they're here or not. So the minds are being taken and being programmed right now with the false global warming. Verse 9 of chapter 2 of the book of Apocalypse of BARuch, it will come to pass in those days that he will command a peace and a vain gift in Egypt. He will give peace to those who are holy, saying the name of Yah is one. He will give honors to the saints and exalting the place of the saints. Who are the saints? The children of Israel, as spoken of in Psalms 148. Verse 12, he will give vain gifts to the house of Yah. He will wander around in the cities of Egypt with guile without their knowing. He will take count of the holy places. He will weigh the idols of the heathen. He will take count of their wealth. He will establish priests for them. He will command that the wise men and the great ones of the people be seized, and they will be brought to the metropolis which is by the sea, saying, There is but one language, but when you hear peace and joy exist, I will tell you his signs so that you might know him, for he has two sons. Talking about the man of perdition, one on his right and one on his left. The one on his right will receive a demonic face, and he will fight against the name of Yah. Now 4 kings will descend from that king. In his 30th year, he will come up to Memphis, and he will build a temple in Memphis. On that day, his own son will rise up against him and kill him. The whole land will be disturbed. On that day, he will issue an order over the whole land so that the priests of the land and all the saints will be seized, saying, you will repay doubly every gift and all of the good things which my father gave you. He will shut up the holy places. He will take their houses. Now, let me pause for a second. You have read about tribulation in the book of Enoch, Ascension of Isaiah. This is giving you a different perspective coming from BARuch, who was a scribe for Jeremiah. And he did a lot of writing, book of Esdras. He did a lot of writing in the Apocrypha. And he's giving his vision that was shown to him, and you have to connect the dots. A lot of this is metaphor, a lot of this is allegory, and some is literal. So you have to let the Ruach help you to put the pieces together and give you the understanding. He will order and sacrifices and abominations, and bitter evils will be done in the land. He will appear before the sun and the moon. On that day, the priests of the land will tear their clothes. Woe to you, O rulers of Egypt, in those days, because your day has passed. The violence being done to the poor will turn against you, and your children will be seized as plunder. In those days, the cities of Egypt will groan for the voice of the one who sells, and the one who buys will not be heard. The markets of the cities of Egypt will become dusty. Those who are in Egypt will weep together. They will desire death, but death will flee and leave them. When we talk about Egypt, he's talking about Egypt here. He's talking about Babylon. He's talking about where we are in the Americas, because it said we will go back into Egypt in ships. And this land and all of its witchcraft and its pagan symbols are depiction of earlier civilization known as Egypt. Look at the back of the dollar bill. You'll see that with the pyramid and with the phallic symbols. Verse 33, in those days they will run up to the rocks and leap off, saying, fall upon us, and still they will not die. Double affliction will multiply upon the whole land. I can see these things transpiring now, because there's a lot of people really upset that they did things to their body and their temple with that jab, because they were deceived. And there are people that are sick and going to be sick and sicker and will wish to be dead and die. Things are already getting tight for people. There are so many stores closing, and companies and corporations and food suppliers closing and shutting down, that things are going to get tight. We're going to have to trust that we're in Goshen in these last days, and that he will supply all of our needs. These pages are going to have to leap off this book. I think the biggest thing that happened with, the 90s and the early 2000s and the prosperity gospel and all that, none of this stuff was real to people. It was fantasies, stories, and fables until it hit the fan. Verse 35, in those days the king will command, and all the nursing women will be seized and brought to him bound, and they will suckle serpents, and their blood will be drawn from their breasts, and it will be applied as poison to the arrows on account of their distress of the cities. He will command again, and all the young lads from 12 years and under will be seized and presented in order to teach them to shoot arrows. They will be in Satan's army. That's the goal. The midwife who is upon the earth will grieve. The woman who has given birth will lift her eyes to heaven, saying, why did I sit upon the birth stool to bring forth a son to this earth? This is what mothers are going to say who are bringing forth babies in the midst of this tribulation. What have I brought my child into? The barren woman and the virgin will rejoice, saying, it is our time to rejoice, because we had no child upon the earth, but our children are in heaven. Just meaning they have nothing to worry about. In those days, 3 kings will arise among the Persians, and they will take captive the Jews who are in Egypt, Hebrews. They will bring them to Jerusalem and they will inhabit it and dwell there. And then you will hear that there is security in Jerusalem. Tear your garments, O priests of the land, because the son of perdition will soon come. In those days, the lawless one will appear in the holy places. In those days, the kings of the Persians will hasten, and they will stand to fight with the kings of Assyria. 4 kings will fight with 3. They will spend 3 years in that place until they carry off the wealth of the temple, which is in that place. In those days, blood will flow from the coast to Memphis. The river of Egypt will become blood, and they will not be able to drink from it for 3 days. Woe to Egypt and those who are in it. In those days, a king will arise in the city, which is called the city of the sun, and the whole land will be disturbed. He will flee to Memphis. In the 6th year, the Persian kings will plot an ambush in Memphis, and they will kill the Assyrian king. Let's skip down to chapter 3. In the 4th year of that king, the son of lawlessness will appear, saying, I am Christ, although he is not. Don't believe him. Before we get into this reign of the Antichrist, you got to understand that what I just read are all the things that we're living in now and that we're moving into right before it is established that the lawless one will reveal himself, saying that I am Christ. I'm the answer, I'm the solution. So it has to get dark before people start looking for someone to help them. And a man comes on the scene and says, I am the help. Verse 2, when the Christ comes, he will come in the manner, listen to how the Antichrist, the man of perdition, will come. He will come in the manner of a covey of doves, with the crown of doves surrounding him. He will walk upon the heavens' vaults, with the sign of the cross leading him. The whole world will behold him like the sun which shines from the eastern horizon to the west. This is how he will come, with all his angels surrounding him. But the son of lawlessness will begin to stand again in the holy places. He will say to the sun, fall, and it will fall. This is why they have so many fake suns. It's literal. NASA, DOD, science has created false suns and signs. This is why I made this disclaimer before starting this, that you're going to be deceived. Everything does not come from Yah. That man is trying to force upon the earth to confuse you. The son of lawlessness will begin to stand again in the holy places. I had to pause on that because why is he called the son of lawlessness? Everything that denies the law of Yah and breaks it and doesn't want to keep it is of Satan. Sin is transgression of the law, 1 John 3 and 4. The Christian church teaching you that the law is done away with and you don't have to keep the laws, that's of Satan. That is of Satan, carrying people straight to hell. It is a demon spirit that makes a man get upset when the law tells him what to eat and what not to eat. It's because you have a stronghold on you that you can't break, that has not been broken, and you want to be comfortable in your sin. You don't like feeling uncomfortable, and the law tells you that the law makes you uncomfortable because it challenges you to change yourself. So this man, the Antichrist, is the man of lawlessness. Do what thy will. YOLO, you only live once. Appease your flesh. That's why we don't like the laws. So you're serving Satan when you're not wanting to keep the laws. Verse 6, he will say to the sun, fall, it will fall. He will say, shine, and it will do it. He will say, darken, and it will do it. He will say to the moon, become bloody, and it will do it. He will go forth with them from the sky. This is why the scripture said for us not to be dismayed at the signs in the heaven, because there's deceptions already created for you. He will go forth with them from the sky. He will walk upon the sea, meaning he will walk upon water and rivers as upon dry land. This is the son of lawlessness, the man of perdition, Antichrist, who's not going to be deceived. Will it be you, the remnant? He will cause the lame to walk, miracles. He will cause the deaf to hear, miracles. He will cause the dumb to speak, miracles. He will cause the blind to see, miracles. See, Matthew 7:21-23, did we do all these things in your name? And the Most High will say, depart from me, I never even knew you. Do you see these miracles? The lepers he will cleanse, the ill he will heal, and the demons he will cast out. He shall even cast out demons, meaning he'll bind them, create exorcisms. He will multiply his signs and his wonders in the presence of everyone. He will do the works which Hamashiach did, except for raising the dead alone. The one thing that Antichrist, the man of perdition, the son of lawlessness, will not be able to do is to raise people from the dead, because who has the keys to hell and death? Hamashiach. He took the keys, went down there 3 days, rose with the dead. They came back with him and walked the earth for 40 days. After 40 days, Christ ascended to the Father. 10 days later, we got Pentecost and was released the Ruach HaKadosh. Hallelujah. Can't raise the dead. He'll mimic trying to raise the dead because they were never dead. But do you see everything else he'll be able to do? Listen to this. In this you will know that he is the son of lawlessness, because he is unable to give life. Even with the clones, brothers and sisters, which I know a lot of people don't believe in, they malfunction and they're only good for like 3 months. It doesn't last. It's not real. This is why they don't stay on the scene and they don't utilize them. Has anybody seen Jamie Foxx? You saw a clone jump out of a car and act like he was saving somebody and then jump back in the car and then disappeared and hasn't said anything. And I'm just using that as an example. Satan can't make life. He can't produce life. What happens with Satan's seeds? GMOs. They don't reproduce. You have to keep buying them. They don't reproduce and generate new seeds. That's why most of all the fruits and vegetables from the GMO seeds are seedless. Makes no sense, a seedless grape, a seedless watermelon. There's nothing in there to reproduce and make more. Verse 14, for behold, I will tell you his signs so that you might know him. Listen to this. Verse 15. This could be anybody in my family or people I know. He is of a skinny-legged young lad, having a tuft of gray hair at the front of his bald head. His eyebrows will reach his ears. There is a leprous bare spot on the front of his hands. He will transform himself in the presence of those who see him, shapeshift. He will become a young child. He will become old. He will transform himself in every sign, but the signs of his head will not be able to change. Therein you will know that he is the son of lawlessness. Chapter 4, the virgin whose name is Tabitha will hear that the shameless one has revealed himself in the holy places, and she will put on her garment of fine linen. Let me pause before I continue. 4. See, the world is going towards chaos where everyone is going to lose it. They're already trying to foster a civil war. They want you to know what they did to you with that jab. They want you to go crazy and rebel. They want to control you. And all the information is getting out because you can't hide the truth. So chaos is going to come about. And countries will be fighting against countries. And people are going to be looking for a leader, someone to save them. And they figure they can produce order out of chaos by having a world leader for their new world order. These converts, the synagogue of Satan. Chapter 4, verse 2. And she will pursue him up to Judea, scolding him up to Jerusalem, saying, O shameless one, O son of lawlessness, O you who have been hostile to all the saints. Then the shameless one will be angry at the virgin. He will pursue her up to the regions of the sunset. He will suck her blood in the evening, and he will cast her upon the temple She will become a healing for the people. She will rise up at dawn, and she will live and scold him, saying, O shameless one, you have no power against my soul or my body, because I live in the Most High always. And also my blood, which you have cast upon the temple, has become a healing for the temple, for the people. Then when Elijah and Enoch hear that the shameless one has revealed himself, now you've heard this prophecy before. You're hearing it from BARuch, where the two who have not seen death are going to appear on the earth. After he reveals himself, they will come down and fight with him, saying, are you indeed not ashamed when you attach yourself to the saints? Because you are always estranged. So he's deceiving the saints at this time and trying to destroy the saints. And here comes Enoch and Elijah. Verse 10, you have been hostile to the thrones. You have acted against the angels. You are always a stranger. You have fallen from heaven like the morning stars. You were changed and your tribe became dark for you. But you are not ashamed. You stand firmly against Yah. You are a devil. The shameless one will hear and he will be angry and he will fight with them, Enoch and Elijah, in the marketplaces of the great city, and he will spend 7 days fighting with Enoch and Elijah. The whole world will see this. And they will spend 3½ days in the marketplace dead while all the people see them. We read about this prophecy. They'll be slain in the streets. And then what will happen? But on the 4th day, they will rise up and they will scold him, saying, O shameless one, O son of lawlessness, are you indeed not ashamed of yourself, since you are leading astray the people of Yah, for whom you did not suffer? Do you not know that we live in Yahuwah? As the words were spoken, they prevailed over him, saying, furthermore, we will lay down before the flesh for the spirit, and we will kill you, since you are unable to speak on that day, because we are always strong in Yahuwah, but you are always hostile to Yah. The shameless one will hear, and he will be angry and fight them, and the whole city will surround them, Enoch and Elijah. On that day, they will shout up to heaven as they shine, while all the people in all the world see them. There's not people that are going to be happy that they're here fighting on behalf of the saints, because you have to realize that when the Antichrist reveals who he is, at the same time, the children of Israel have been revealed who they are. And there is a world of other nations and races who hate Yah that are going to be upset. The technocrats, all the people who want this new utopian, dystopian future, that want this Mad Max world, that want the chip, that want the Neuralink, that want science, that want this technology. They want this world. They don't want Yah. They don't want his laws. On that day, they will shout up to heaven as they shine, while all the people and all the world will see them. The son of lawlessness will not prevail over them. He will be angry at the land, and he will seek to sin against the people. He will pursue all of the saints. They and the priests of the land will be brought back bound. He will kill them and destroy them, and their eyes will be removed with iron spikes, to let you know that some will be destroyed, hurt, persecuted. BARuch goes on to say, he will remove their skin from their heads. He will remove their nails one by one. He will command that vinegar and lime be put in their nose. Now, those who are unable to bear up under the tortures of that king will take gold and flee over the fords to the desert places. They will lie down as one who sleeps. The Most High will receive their spirits and their souls to himself. Which takes you back to, I saw many in heaven in white linen standing before the Most High. And these were those who were the martyrs that died on behalf of the Most High, saying, how much longer will it take for you to go and avenge us? It says their flesh will petrify, but no wild animals will eat it until the last day of the great judgment. 27, and they will rise up and find a place of rest, but they will not be in the kingdom of Christ as those who have endured, because Yahuwah said, I will grant to them, they sit on my right hand. They will receive favor over others, and they will triumph over the son of lawlessness, and they will witness the dissolution of heaven and earth, those who became martyrs. They will receive the thrones of glory and the crowns. The 60 righteous ones who are prepared for this hour will hear. And they will gird up on the breastplate of Yahuwah, and they will run to Jerusalem and fight with the shameless ones, saying, all powers which the prophets have done from the beginning, you have done, but you were unable to raise the dead because you had no power to give life. Therein we have known that you are the son of lawlessness. He will hear and he will be angry and command to kindle altars, and the righteous ones will be bound, they will be lifted up and burned. Chapter 5. And on that day, the heart of many will harden, and they will flee from him, saying, this is not the Christ. The Christ does not kill the righteous. He does not pursue men so that he might seek them, but he persuades them with signs and wonders. On that day, the Christ will pity those who are his own, and he will send from heaven, Hamashiach, his 64,000 angels, each of whom has 6 wings. The sound will move heaven and earth when they give praise and glorify. Now, those upon whose forehead the name of Hamashiach is written and upon whose hand is the seal, both the small and the great will be taken up upon their wings and lifted up before his wrath. Then Gabriel and Uriel will become a pillar of light, leading them into the Holy Land. This is the redemption. This is Christ coming through the firmament from the eyes of BARuch. There's been great wars and battles in the land, and Satan trying to destroy the righteous and find us, and we're in a safe place and we're being protected. But there are those who are being slain for the gospel as well and taking a stand. You have to know that to live is Hamashiach and to die is gain. You have to be not even afraid to have to live this life, knowing that there's another life. How do you think people feel that have gone on before you, that are already living in that other life, which is the one that's real? This one that you're living in now, just a testing of your faith and your free will to see what you will choose to decide where you will spend eternity. Then Gabriel and Uriel will come as a pillar of light, leading them into the Holy Land. It will be granted to them to eat from the tree of life. They will wear white garments, and angels will watch over them. They will not thirst, nor will the son of lawlessness be able to prevail over them. These are certain people that are being almost raptured, if you will. Isaiah, the 26th chapter, talks about saints being chambered away prior to the destruction of the entire earth. We won't be in the earth in some safe space. We won't be in Goshen. Give me 1 second. I want to read that precept. Deviate. I didn't want to do this because I want to get past the story, but I got to read it to you. When I found this blew my mind. Isaiah 26. 1 second. Isaiah 26:20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. For behold, Yahuwah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. And the earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. So this is right before he comes to decimate the earth. He's telling us to go inside our chambers, hide ourselves, just for a little while until the indignation is done, until I'm done sweeping this place clean. Let's go back to Apocalypse of BARuch. And on that day, the earth will be disturbed, and the sun will darken, and peace will be removed from the earth. The birds will fall on the earth dead, and the earth will be dry. The waters of the sea will dry up, and the sinners will groan upon the earth, saying, What have you done to us, O son of lawlessness, saying, I am the Christ, when you are nothing but the devil. You are unable to save yourself so that you might save us. People are going to be so upset that they were deceived and followed the Antichrist, and they're going to find out he's not the one. He's nothing but Satan, the Wizard of Oz. You produced signs in our presence until you alienated us from the real Hamashiach who created us. Woe to us because we listened to you and followed the science. 12, lo, now we will die in a famine, where indeed is now the trace of a righteous one, and we will worship him, or where indeed is the one who will teach us, and we will appeal to him. Now indeed we will be wrathfully destroyed because we disobeyed Yahuwah. We went to the deep places of the sea, and we did not find water. We dug in the rivers and papyrus reeds, and we did not find water. Then on that day, the shameless one will speak, saying, Woe to me, because my time has passed by for me. While I was saying that my time would not pass by for me. This is Satan. My years have become months, and my days have passed away as dust passes away. Now, therefore, I will perish together with you. Now, therefore, run forth to the desert, seize the robbers, and kill them. Bring up the saints, for because of them the earth yields fruit. For because of them the sun shines upon the earth. For because of them the dew will come upon the earth. The sinners will weep, saying, You made us hostile to Yahuwah. If you were able, rise up and pursue them. You go get them. Then he will take his fiery wings and fly out after the saints. And he will try to fight with the saints again. The angels will hear and come down, and they will fight with him a battle of many swords. It will come to pass on that day that Yahuwah will hear and command the heaven and the earth with great wrath, and they will send for fire, and the fire will prevail over the earth 72 cubits. It will consume all sinners and the devils like stubble. We read about stubble, fire and stubble in the book of Obadiah. It said we will tread upon the stubble. A true judgment will occur. On that day, the mountains and the earth will utter speech. The byways will speak with one another, saying, Have you heard today the voice of a man who walks, who has not come to the judgment of the Son of Yahuwah? The signs of each one will stand against him in the place where they were committed, whether those of the day or of the night. Those who belong to the righteous and will see the sinners, and those who persecuted them, and those who handed them over to death in their torments. We're going to see these people from our chambers. Then the sinners in torment will see the place where the righteous are while they're being tormented. And thus grace will occur in those days, that which the righteous will ask. Listen to this. Grace will occur in those days when sinners are being tormented and seeing where we are. And the righteous will see what's happening to them. Listen to what grace says. BARuch says, in those days, that which the righteous will ask for many times will be given to them in that period. There's a chance right there that we may see sinners that were loved ones, family members, and ask the Most High to please have mercy on them. It's saying that he's going to honor some requests during that time. Let me read it again slower. And thus grace will occur in those days, that which the righteous will ask for many times will be given to them. That which the righteous will ask for many times will be given to us during this period. On that day, Yahuwah will judge the heaven and the earth, and he will judge those who transgressed in heaven and those who did so on earth. Don't think there's not disobedience and transgressions in the heavens too. This is why you have fallen angels. He will judge the shepherds of the people, pastors, elders, bishops. He will ask about the flock of sheep, and they will be given to him without any deadly guile existing in them. And after these things, Elijah and Enoch will come down. They will lay down the flesh of the world, and they will receive their spiritual flesh. They will pursue the son of lawlessness and kill him, since he is not able to speak. On that day, he will dissolve in their presence like ice, which was dissolved by a fire. He will perish like a serpent, which has no breath in it. They will say to him, your time is passed by for you. Now, therefore, you warn those who believe you will perish. They will be cast into the bottom of the abyss, and it will be closed for them. That day, Hamashiach, the king, and all his saints will come forth from heaven, and he will burn the earth, and then he will spend 1,000 years upon it. Because the sinners prevailed over it, he will create a new heaven and a new earth. No deadly devil will exist in them, and he will rule with his saints, ascending and descending, while they are always with the angels. They are with Hamashiach for 1,000 years, going back and forth into the heavens. Firmament has been removed because Satan has been destroyed, and all the sinners who worship him and love him have been destroyed. And that's what we're living for, and living to live again. I want to read this article, then I'm going to close out. I found this article very interesting. I don't normally read from secular articles, but it's very telling of the sinner's state of mind, the deception, and the way people are living right now, and how strong this is, and the type of people that are going to be deceived. One thing that was really interesting about the book of BARuch is how the people are going to say, we trusted you, we believed you. That's just how powerful this Antichrist is going to be. And we're going to see him. We're going to be alive during that time. Do you know we'll be looked at like we're crazy because we don't believe in him? Just like we were looked at like we're crazy because we didn't get the jab. The level of persecution coming upon the earth is going to take someone with some real resilience and someone filled with the Ruach to be able to stand. Total submission to the word of Yah, total submission to the statutes, laws, and commandments. You're not going to make it. Religion is not going to bring you through. Rituals, habits, no. You're going to have to really love the Father, be willing to die for him, die for what you believe, and get over family not dealing with you, family not speaking to you, marital issues, children turning their back on you. He said, I came with a sword. I came to separate this and that. We are living in that time. So whatever it is that is of the Father will manifest itself. And so you have to trust him enough to know that he's got your best interest at hand. He said, I wish above all else that you would prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers. He said, no good thing will I withhold from you. Every day he blesses us with what he wants for us to have. You think you're in control of everything. I watched an interesting movie, then I'll read this article where this guy had an AI in him, and I don't really reference this, but it just reminded me of something. The AI kept telling him, if you give me complete control, I'll take over and fight this guy for you. Meaning, like, he's like saying, you're trying to do it now, but just release yourself and let me take control. And the AI took control because the AI knew all these martial arts moves that was programmed inside of it. So it took over the man's body and was able to defeat all the enemies. And I began to think that we are the same way as people, that the Ruach is saying, when will you let me have control? When will you let the Father have control? Because I can defeat all these things, but it's you. You want to try to control. You don't have the power. It's not in you. The temple of Yah is within you. So it's the Ruach, but it can only do so much when you keep trying to take everything into your will and think you have to manifest the outcome that you want. When he says, look, I know what I'm doing. It's just like the story of Joseph. He's saying, look, we know what Joseph would have did, the brothers would have did, but I had a plan for something they didn't see 14 years down the road, because I knew I was going to bring a famine, and I had to create a resource to protect people and to create a Goshen. So I had to go through something that you didn't understand, that was hurtful, that was painful, that was gut-wrenching. But I had a plan. I know the plans that I have for you, to do you good, not to cause you any harm. That's what we have to remember. This article is on henrymccow.com. Mako. It's written by Mike Stone. And it says, most people despise the truth. The problem isn't that we don't have access to truth. It's that most people don't want to hear it. This article touched a nerve with me. Everything I have been saying for the last 22 years is coming true in real time. But hardly anybody is interested. My traffic has not increased. No, tell you about that. Nor my book sales. I don't care about this except as an indication that the public might be stirring in its sleep. The pandemic, toxic vaccines were the biggest betrayal of public trust in history after the world wars. But people either don't want to know or don't have the intellectual faculties required. They are resigned to their fate, whatever it is. Are there people in your life who choose to live outside the realm of reality? Friends and family members who refuse to believe with what their own eyes and ears have shown them to be true? Does it seem to you as if 99.9% of the population has lost their minds? You're not imagining that. It's real. Libtards screaming for the right to murder their own babies, salivating at the thought of sexually mutilating their children, and turning them into trannies, conservatives cheering the slaughter of innocent children in Palestine and the beating of peaceful protesters by the police, fake Christians waving their little Israeli flags and foolishly believing they are going to heaven because they are saved. They are sick, delusional people. We spoke previously of how demonic possession contributes to their state of mental derangement. But there are two other reasons why almost everyone in your life is suffering from mental illness. To succeed in modern society, a person must lie. For society to function on a level of madness requires everyone in it to refrain from telling the truth and instead to believe in lies. Not only must they refrain from telling the truth and instead believe in lies, they must also lash out and silence anyone who does tell the truth and refuse to believe in lies. In other words, everyone participating in such a society must uphold a code of silence when it comes to the truth. It's like the entire world belongs to Fight Club, where the first rule is you do not talk about Fight Club. Only nobody is fighting. They're retreating and running away like cowards. Henry Makel famously said, all that is required for the triumph of evil is for good men to be given good jobs. Examine that statement carefully and you'll see that it applies to almost everyone living in America today. That's because in order to keep a job in this country, a person is forced to accept a lie or take a jab. In order to be a doctor, one must believe or pretend to believe in the germ theory of disease. Thus, one's entire career becomes dependent upon a lie. If a doctor refuses to lie and stand up for the truth, one of two things happen. He is ridiculed, publicly maligned by the media, thus forcing him out of business, or he is killed. Included with doctors are nurses, pharmacists, dentists, hospital workers, medical administrators, and everyone else employed by the medical industry on any level. They all have to believe or pretend to believe in a massive lie, or they will lose their jobs. In order to be a teacher, one must believe or pretend to believe in the hundreds of historical, scientific, and societal lies that are taught to children. Thus, one's entire career becomes dependent upon a multitude of lies. If a teacher refuses to lie and stands up for the truth, they are immediately fired and not allowed to teach. Included with teachers are administrative staff, principals, union officials, and everyone else who is employed in education. In any way, they all have to believe or pretend to believe in lies or they will lose their job. We can see that the majority of people today are forced to believe in lies in order to make a living. And the more prestigious and higher paying the job is, the bigger the lies they have to swallow. In order to work in the entertainment industry on any level, one must accept or pretend to accept every leftist position imaginable, including abortion, homosexuality, trannyism, sexual mutilation of children, and more. If you refuse, if you hold a different opinion or dare to speak out against any of these sickening positions, you simply won't be allowed to work. No one will hire you. Perhaps you're thinking you can be a closet conservative in the entertainment industry, someone who holds an opposite opinion but keeps quiet in order to work. you could possibly get away with that, but then you'd be lying to yourself. You wouldn't be presenting your authentic self to the world. You'd be showing the world a submissive, fraudulent side of yourself. Your whole life would be a lie. Not only that, but you'd be using your talents to further the very agendas you despise. Because everything coming from the entertainment industry, and that includes movies, television, music, professional sports, traditionally published books, is purposely designed to push those agendas. Only a drooling retard would deny that. There's also the issue of control. Once you believe in one lie, it's much easier to believe in others. That leads to people holding worldviews that are based entirely on lies and misperceptions. If you want to know why so many people were duped into taking the fake vaccine, this is one of the reasons. So you see, Henry was spot on with his words. All that is required for the triumph of evil is for good men to be given good jobs. However, that's not the only reason why everyone around you is blind to reality and appears to have gone insane. The second reason is because they refuse to stop sinning. I think this is what really drew me to the article, other than everything else he already said is so true. People refuse to stop sinning. Are you a slave to sin? For whatever reason, people just don't want to give up their sins. Women want to continue reading romance novels, lusting after serial killers, murdering their own babies. Men want to continue cheating on their wives, jerking off to pornography, and behaving like complete cowards when faced with adversity. Nobody, neither male nor female, wants to stop sinning. A stubborn refusal to stop sinning forces a person to accept a false reality. Because if they didn't, if they embraced the truth instead and chose to live in the real world, it would require them to give up their sins. And that's something most people just aren't willing to do. In many ways, this is even worse than being forced to accept a lie in order to make a living. When one is forced to believe in a lie in order to keep their job, that person generates a slither of sympathy. They might actually be someone good and courageous who is trying to turn things around in the industry they work in, someone fighting the system from within. However, when one refuses to stop sinning, they generate no sympathy at all. They are acting out of weakness and fear. They are literally damning their soul to hell because they are too weak to take a moral stand and dedicate their life to God. When men do this, it's particularly appalling because submission and weakness are feminine characteristics. That's why men who are libtards, conservatives, or fake Christians are feminized to the extreme. They've lost their masculine energy. They become docile facsimiles of real men who need Viagra, a triple-pronged approach designed to take you to hell. So tally it all up, and we have demonic possession, a refusal to tell the truth, and instead believing in lies, and refusal to stop sinning. One or more of these factors is the reason why everyone in your life has lost their marbles and why almost all of them are on their way to hell. The good news is there are solutions to all of those things. The bad news is that most people are so far gone from reality, they are never coming back. Excellent article. Sin and lies and deception. The whole world has lost its mind. Nobody wants to stop sinning. Come out of her, my people. Your subtle sins. Your cognitive dissonance is due to your subtle sins. And everybody is serving the lie that this whole world is built upon. That pandemic, it was all a lie. Everything's a lie. And people went along with the lie to keep their jobs. We're in the end times. Will you be saved? Will you endure until the end? Will you take a stand for righteousness? Leave it right there. The preacher saying that the only for sure obstacle to truth is to think that you already have it. Truth is a journey, not a destination. Stand for truth. Stand for truth. Keep crying out no matter what. Just keep pushing it. Keep crying out. Shabbat Shalom. Kwam Yashar. We will win in the end. Peace and blessings.